Welcome to the Stockman Casino and the Bob Rivers tribute. Please welcome BJ Shea.
Well, hello. Oh man, this is going to be a fantastic evening. We're going to talk about celebration. We're going to talk about jubilation, and if you're in my demographic, maybe some hydration. This is such a wonderful moment to see all of the people out here who loved the man that was so special, important to me. Thank you for coming. Thank you so, so much. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. You're going to see a lot of stuff. There's going to be great music. There's going to be great comedy. There will be people that you have loved over the years who will come out here and tell you what you didn't really know because they got to work with him and what he meant to them. And why am I here? Because he and I never worked on the radio together. But I don't have a career. I have nothing, seriously, without Bob Rivers, who advocated for me at every level in this business. He would, please. I don't get along well with most humans. So you need a guy like Bob Rivers to advocate for you. And every time I was about to shoot myself in the foot and blow a whole situation up, Bob would be so wonderful to come in and somehow do the management whisperer thing where he would convince them, yeah, he's insane, but he's really good and he's my friend. Please give him another chance. And to have somebody like that in your life, you probably all know what that's like. It is a wonderful, beautiful thing. And I will cherish what he did for me and my family forever, and I thank you all for coming here and celebrate him. Thank you. Yeah. There are a lot of people who can tell you how special he was and fill this room with love, and I say we bring him out right now. We're going to start with two people you know very, very well, and really, they were what made Bob smile every day and help make you smile every day. Please welcome Spike O'Neill and Downtown Joe.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Thank you, BJ.
Don't go anywhere. Hi. Clearly, you all need to be cut off right now. Look at you.
This feels unusual to be here to put on a show, a memorial. We've done so many shows in this place and never one without Bob. But I don't think we're doing this one without him either. I think he's here with us tonight. So thank you so much for coming out. You know, I started here in Seattle with Bob in 1990, and our show did pretty well. In fact, it's in the Radio Hall of Fame now. And, you know, Spike and I had something to do with that, but Bob really had a Radio Hall of Fame career before he even got to Seattle. And Spike knows a little bit more about that than I do because he was part of that.
Well, when I met Bob Rivers in 1989, I was 26 years old and selling drugs in Baltimore. But that's not how I met Bob. I want to clean that up right now. Bob Rivers was born in a small mill town in New England, working as a 12-year-old, working 16 hours a day in a joke factory with no breaks. He worked hard. No, Bob was very successful in New England, and he took a small station outside of Boston to #1 in Boston. And they didn't want to reward him for that, so he's like, I'm going to Baltimore. And Bob Rivers moved to Baltimore, my hometown. And he landed at my radio station. I wasn't in radio, I was just 98 Rock in Baltimore. And we're like, okay, Baltimore is a lot like Seattle. We hate fucking outsiders. But we all, as much as we hate outsiders in Baltimore, we love the Baltimore Orioles. How about them O's, hon? Right? In Baltimore, you don't like them O's, we don't want you here. So our team sucked. And Bob Rivers saw an opportunity. And that's going to be the theme throughout the course of the night. Is Bob being able to see things before other people see things, and make sure that everything falls into place to get the most out of every moment in life. So if you could please play turn to your massive video screens, where we'll be administering an eye test before your drive home. But watch this little video put together about Bob Rivers and the Baltimore Orioles.
But you know, if they don't win, you ought to stay on the air until they do. Seemed like a good idea at the time. I figured it'd last a day or two.
Losing.
The Orioles have just plain lost.
So the Orioles are still sitting on a goose egg, and Bob Rivers is still on the air without a night's sleep since Tuesday of last week.
No Orioles supporter has been more vocal or more enduring than WIYY disc jockey Bob Rivers.
98 rocking hour number 184.
Talk about taking yourself out of a game.
And the streak continues.
Until the Orioles win a game, we're still here.
How's the sense of humor holding up, sir?
But I was a better interview last week, wasn't you guys? Ready to go home.
You have a son, don't you?
Yeah, I do. He's in college now. I read him bedtime stories on the air, and we've been having a good time.
Bob, are you on the air now? Do you have to talk to your audience at all? Or?
Yeah, we're playing some long tunes here.
What, like what, for instance?
Vita. Yeah, everybody.
And then it got into Vita, and then it got...
Free the bird.
Free the bird.
I would just like to see the Orioles win one game for now, and then they'll win them all once they come home. I will just get some sleep, and that will be nice.
So when I tell you Bob Rivers was the kind of guy who could take a terrible idea and turn it into gold, which explains Joe and I's radio career. But a little bit about that story. The Orioles started 0-21. I'm not kidding. He was on the air for like 14 days plus, 24 hours a day. He would play album sides and catch naps. When the Orioles returned home at 1-22 to Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, the owner was ready to move the fucking team out of town. But that stadium, for a 1-21 team, was sold out, packed to the rafters because of the work Bob Rivers did to rally that fucking city around the Orioles. And the owner is on record saying, I was ready to sign away and sell the team and move him out of Baltimore. But that sellout crowd and Bob Rivers saw at the first pitch that night, he decided not to leave Baltimore. So that's the kind of impact Bob had on not just us, not just everybody who ever got to hear on the radio, entire communities, first mine and now ours.
When Bob got here to Seattle in 1989, the Mariners were pretty stinky, as they are some years.
Sometimes.
And they'd lost about 5 in a row. Bob decided to do the same thing and decided to stay on the air until the Mariners would win a game. But Mariners didn't cooperate. They won after 2 days, so that one really never got going. So we had to resort to naked rock concerts and all kinds of other stuff to get
people's attention. But BJ mentioned that Bob went to management and convinced management to bring BJ Shea from the East Coast to a job in Seattle. Bob convinced that radio station BJ was worth the risk. When I met Bob, I was a complaint caller to his show with no experience. And he convinced management to move me with them to Seattle and give me my first radio job. We got here and Joe was I went to broadcast school at the local coffee shop. Bob saw the same thing in him, brought him in and convinced management to trust Bob's instincts and give this man a job, which this man turned into a career. And both of us, I tell you, without Bob Rivers, I wouldn't have the life, the family, the love, the memories that I have today.
And the same goes for me and a lot of people in this room. Bob touched us all in some way. And the next guy we're going to bring up, you're going to meet a lot of Bob Rivers Show alumni, both in the audience and here on stage today. And now we'd like to bring up the director of the show for the last several years we were on the air, and that's Arik Korman.
Come on up, buddy. See, it's funny. We talk about how Bob saw things in other people's. Arik saw something in Bob. We were a rock morning show, but Arik saw that there was much more than us making fart jokes and playing Led Zeppelin records. And I turn it over to you, my friend.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Bob had a superpower, and his superpower was creating community. And I want you to look around at the people around you. There are more than 1,000 people here in this room, 14 years. I mean, we went off the air in 2014, and it's been more than 11 years since we went off the air, and there's 1,000 people. We're all together because of what Bob created. He found the humanity in everybody that he touched. It transcended politics, it transcended race, it transcended ethnicity, transcended background. We all came together as a big community here in Western Washington and beyond. And it even expanded across the world with what we did with World Vision. We did it together. Do you know how many people we helped every year? 150,000 people a year. That was us. That was Bob. Together, we donated more than $2 million every year. And it's incredible. Yeah, that was you. That was Bob. That's what we all together created. And so there's no other radio program that I know of that can do this, that can bring all of us together in the same way. That was Bob's superpower. What I'd like to leave you with is actually some advice, because Bob was really smart. And he taught me 3 things, and I'd like to share them with you. Number 1, if you want to be successful, and I share this with my son, AJ, if you want to be successful, stand next to somebody who is. What they've done, you're going to learn just by spending time with them. Ask them questions, be curious, and you'll learn so much, and then you can pass it on, pass it forward, pay it forward. The second thing he taught was, and he liked to say, attraction instead of promotion. In other words, be great. Do what you do and be great. Don't talk about how great you are, do it, and people will notice. That's another thing that Bob did. When he got his first morning show gig in Boston, he was the weekend fill-in guy, and he convinced the program director to put him on the air in mornings on a temporary basis. Bob didn't say, hey, I want to be the morning guy, I'm really good, let me tell you how good I am. No. He got the shot to try it, and he was great. And people noticed, and that's how he got his first permanent morning show in Boston. Attraction, not promotion. And then the third thing is, if it is to be, it's up to me. Bob created everything he created because he had that drive, he had that vision. We all have more power than we give ourselves credit for. We can change the world. We can be the change that we want. If it is to be, it's up to me. Bob, thank you so much for everything you've created. Thank you for everything you taught me, everything that I'm teaching my son through you. And thanks to all of you for being here. And next I want to bring up Paul Anderson, who I like to call the agent to the stars. And Bob helped us move from KISW to KZOK, which, again, we had a wonderful time at KISW. That was before I officially became part of the staff. But KZOK is when we really hit our stride. And so, Paul, thank you for all you've done.
Is this microphone on? God, Jesus, it's bright up here. I like being on the other side of the microphone. All right, I'm Paul Anderson. I'm here to talk about 2 things. I'm here to talk about a car, and I'm here to talk about an airplane. So, more than 30 years ago, I bought a used Range Rover in Seattle, and they didn't give me the records. And so I tracked down the owner from the consignment shop. And oh, Bob Rivers. I'm like, Bob who? Never heard of him. I was an NPR listener in 1037 The Mountain. And they bragged that it was Bob Rivers' car. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I just need the records. So I finally got a hold of Bob. track down his number through his wife Lisa in North Bend. And hey, I'm like, hey, can we hook up, get the records? We finally got the records. And he says, hey, would you like to have lunch? And I'm like, why would I want to have lunch with you? Like, we just met, and like, this is creepy. Okay. He said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a lawyer. He said, what kind of a lawyer are you? I said, I'm a media lawyer. And he said, well, I think we should have lunch because I have a record deal. I'm like, sure, like everyone's got a record deal. I have a couple of scripts too I want to sell you. So we met, we had lunch, and he asked me to fix something at Atlantic Records that his lazy lawyer in Los Angeles had failed to do for 2 years, and like in 2 weeks I got him $150,000 that he'd been owed. He's like, you're a fucking genius. I said, no, your lawyer was just lazy. Here's what I'll tell you, that the moment, I would not be standing here, would not have the career I have, but for Bob Rivers and that moment. What Bob did is that he took the moment to make it a moment. And from that moment grew 30 years of a great business partnership, and more importantly, one of the most meaningful friendships of my entire life. We were the best of friends. And he taught me that curiosity is not something that you live in a moment in, it's what you live a lifetime doing. So now I want to talk to you about an airplane. So Bob was a lollygagger. We used to go up to, he had a boat up on Orcas Island. Actually, it was a San Juan Island then. He had a boat. We'd go up for the weekend. We'd hang out. He was trying to teach me about the radio business. He's like, hey, like not everyone's very honest in this business. I'm like, what? How is that possible? The media business? And we were on the island, and Bob was a lollygagger. Bob was always like, oh, one more thing, let me just do this. And I'm like, hey, Bob, we gotta go, we gotta get on the last ferry. We gotta get the hell out of here. I gotta go to work tomorrow. And we got to the ferry, and it was, and it just pulled away, and I'm like, we are totally fucked. Like, I'm like, Bob, I gotta get off of this island. Like, I have a law firm to run. I got shit going on. He's like, oh, yeah, Paul, this was the last boat. We're not getting off the island. I said, I will track down an airplane to get us off the island. And he said, well, you can't do that. And I said, I'm Paul Anderson. I can get that done. I called the guy. 10 minutes later, I said, Bob, he's on his way. He's going to come. All we had to do was 10 minutes to Anacortes. And he looks at me white-knuckled. And he says, Paul, I don't think I can get on the airplane. He says, I'm afraid to fly. And I'm like, you're afraid to fly? I'm like, all we're doing is like going 10 minutes. He's like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. And he was trembling. And I looked at him and I said, Bob, don't be a pussy. And he said, if today is the last day of my life, I am not going to die with my gay agent calling me a pussy. And from that, Bob decided to bury and take head on his fear of flying, and he became a pilot. Not only become a pilot, he became a VFR pilot, an IFR pilot. He got certified to do pontoons, and then that crazy kid stole his plane, and I told him, I said, Bob, you got to go on the news because they're going to find it. He's like, I don't want people to think I have any money. I'm like, it's not a very big airplane, Bob. So with that, I just want to say that when you find those moments in your life, when you find moments where the whole trajectory of your existence changes because of someone important, some moment, some human comes into your life, pay attention. Because that's what I did with Bob. That's what Bob did with me. And for 30 plus years, we were the best of friends. And I was so fortunate to go spend 3 days with Bob 2 weeks before he died, and then went back for his funeral in New Hampshire. And it was a big treasure to have that time. I loved him, and I cannot tell you how honored I am to be his friend and his business partner. And I want to thank you all for coming. And I know that the only thing that Bob would have liked to do tonight was control this event. And it's so awesome not having him in control. All right, thank you.
Please welcome back Spike O'Neill.
Hi, guys. Paul's not kidding about it. You will not hear any lies tonight. You may hear some shocking shit, but you will not hear a single untruth tonight. That's the impact that Bob saw things in people. People saw things in Bob. We made the most of every moment because of his faith and his love and his commitment and his trust and his generosity. And none of this would be possible. Bob's career wouldn't be possible if it weren't for his lovely wife, Lisa Rivers. Lisa's here tonight, folks. Just because Bob dedicated himself to his craft, and Lisa's the one that held it all together. Without Lisa Rivers, Bob doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, my grandmother used to say. But Lisa was the rock that held Bob and the family together, and that's what held the show together, and that's what held the community together. So Lisa, thank you so much for sharing Bob with us. And we were making these song parodies every week for the radio show, and Bob's like, we should be sharing this with more people. We should be playing live in front of people. And Bob's like, we should start a fucking band. And we did, from the radio audience of our show at KISW and KZOK and the community that we built. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, a little taste of the musical portion of our evening. May I present and the Impalers. No, wait a minute. It feels so fucking inappropriate. Oh, it feels so inappropriate for right now. Bob loved music, but that's just not the right song for this evening. I'm sorry. We'd like to introduce to you on the drums right now a member of the family, a member of the show, Mr. Pedro Bartez. Pedro and his wife Luciana worked on our show, first as interns, then as director, then phone screener, then guest booker. They were immigrants to this country, and Bob helped them with the help of our management at KZOK become citizens of the United States. Pedro was the drummer that Bob encouraged to pursue his passion. Pedro was a joke writer, and Pedro got Bob got Pedro in front of fucking Jay Leno. And Pedro became a paid joke writer for The Tonight Show. Because Bob Rivers saw something in that man and encouraged him and supported him, and that's why we're where we are tonight. So in that regard, Pedro, let's play something a little more appropriate, if we could. Joe, please. Imagine there's no heaven. Wonder if you've tried. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I know someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood and sisterhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer. I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Joe, nice job, buddy. Please.
Joe Corolla's on the piano there. Helping us out tonight.
Sorry.
Doing Bob's old part.
Yeah. Bob, when Bob started this band, Bob had played keyboards all his life, but hadn't played in like 20, 30 years. And we started this band, and Bob wanted to be the keyboard player in the Impalers, and he worked diligently, relentlessly, to make himself a better keyboard player. We took a trip up the Amazon River, part of our World Vision experience where we would go and sponsor children. We spent a week on a medical boat going up and down the Amazon, visiting these little villages and sponsoring children and doctors giving these kids medical care. Bob brought a fucking electric keyboard to the Amazon. And I swear to you, in the morning, we travel by night to a different village, Get up at sunrise, and there'd be Bob up on deck of this boat. There's photos of this, I swear to you. Bob's up on the deck of this boat in the middle of nowhere in the Amazon. He's with his headphones on, and he's doing his parts. He's getting better. It was that kind of dedication to what he did, everything he did. He brought the passion of his interest to everything he did, and that's why he excelled at so many things, and so many of us, us, when I say us, I mean us, got to benefit from the fruits of his love and his labor. Who am I bringing up? I forgot my sheet. I'm a little verklempt up here. You'll have to. There's a video coming. Okay. Joe, come on up here. Help me out. Bail me. Come here, Joe. See, this is welcome to the first event ever in this beautiful ballroom, by the way. And I'm not saying that to blame this little moment on them. It's on us. But this is a wonderful facility. And the Snoqualmie Casino, now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, this was Bob's neighborhood, North Bend. This was always home for us. And it helped us bring our show to you guys.
What you just heard was the first music ever played in this room through these speakers. So, sounded pretty good. And you're going to hear a lot more from Spike. And also, I don't know if you've heard of a band called Heart by Heart. They happen to be here tonight as Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members and a wonderful act. So, right now, though, check this video out. This one's from a little later in Bob's career.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Spike.
Good morning, Lord.
Joe is fishing this morning, right?
That's right, sir. He's out there right now. There's only now.
That's true.
There never is tomorrow, and there never is yesterday. There always was yesterday and will be tomorrow.
That's true.
The light in me honors the light in you.
Hi, this is Bob Rivers along with Spike and Luciana and Arik, and we're here in the Children of the Amazon ADP for our World Vision Radiothon. If you sponsor one of these kids, you may save their life.
It might not look like it, but I'm having a blast.
We only buy our meat from farmers who treat their animals with care and respect. And I was like, they still kill them. Like, how respectful is that?
Right up to the end.
I love you.
Cloris Leachman, Joan Rivers, Weird Al Yankovic in Los Angeles. Old buddy, how you doing? And you were doing Pat O'Day.
It's not his fault. Her cleavage could blind even the sun.
I want Lisa to autograph what?
Well, page 75 of Joey Kramer's new book, Hit Hard.
Lisa's mentioned in Joey Kramer's book?
Yeah, Lisa's mentioned. There was a time when Joey and Steven were roommates on the road.
Because I'm pro-cloning. If you get the perfect cow, why not make $1 million? I think we should...
Where did you come from?
Not bad, right? I mean, he's not... Look at you guys together.
Hang on.
You bad old dog, you!
You're one of the worst people to email. You hardly ever respond.
I respond to everybody I care about.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the setup. It was beautiful. I don't get depressed. You never see me take a pill either.
You never get depressed?
No.
Come on.
I don't. Ask anybody that knows me.
I get depressed, but only...
Shut up! I feel better.
And that's why I tell you, this is why I don't want to conserve now. Paper, oil, plastic, all those things.
You convinced me.
These are wonderful, but we need to start thinking of those things as transitional.
I just don't think I need a governmental stamp to go, well, we checked and you're still in love.
With Lisa and I, the tide has turned a little. It takes me a little longer now.
Are you done?
Why? What's wrong with that? No, I mean, what I'm saying is actually just yesterday.
Joe!
What are we, mom and dad to you?
Yeah, it's a good show. Like
our face.
Sorry. I'm done.
Done? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like I'm in a Mexican standoff here.
Well, Joe always mutters something at the end of something to make sure I count.
I've hit women with Neosporin on my hand twice. What it does, what you do,
good.
you hit them, it heals them at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, Jay Leno had a good talk with me about this because he saw me doing this, and he's a really nice guy. And then Jay said, listen, everybody thinks they got a band. You think, no time for things. Nobody gets more awards than me.
Want to take a look? Okay. I'll take it.
Yes.
You know the joke, right?
Yes.
I'll take a look.
If you don't want money for free,
Mr. Jay Leno writes for Jay Leno. I guess I've never done anything for you. Helped you out in any way.
Did you get on your knees to get that gift? Did you say freaking jokes every freaking single day of your life? No.
No, but I did get you back there to meet it.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's worth nothing.
I have been so blessed to work with all of you. Every one of you have enriched my life. Every one of you in the audience is part of the show.
I would have done it for free. That's how much I love radio. Check that. I would have done it until I had leverage, then I would have called Paul.
It's good, sir.
That's it. No jokes today.
Thank you, Lord.
Peace be with you.
Also with you.
We were the ones who were blessed to work with you, Bob. I'm going to use the podium. Somebody took the trouble to put it up here, so I figure we'll use it for this one. So I just want to quickly say, I think Paul said it great. Everybody has said it. Bob has changed every one of our lives or influences in some way. Unless you're just some random person who got tired of playing slots and just wandered in here, you were probably changed by Bob. And for me, more than most, no other man other than my father has guided and mentored me more than Bob Rivers. Had I not begun working for Bob in 1990, I would have never met my wife. Actually, I met her twin sister, and then I hooked up with my wife. That's a whole nother story. But I would never have had a wonderful daughter named Emily, who's right down here in the 5th row. So many people say to me, I remember when your daughter was born, you know, because I immediately rushed to announce the news. I was so thrilled. And I'm really thrilled now. Emily is now, I don't know if you're supposed to say a woman's age, but she's 26, and she's following in her dad's footsteps, not as a radio personality or a binge eater, but as an educator. She works with special education students. And as Bob would say, and he said this often about his sister Patty, she's a saint. That's what educators are. And that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, is teaching radio to high school students. And there's no way I could have done that without the mentorship of Bob Rivers, Jim Campman, and so many others. In fact, I feel like KMIH, which is, I don't want to brag, the best high school radio station in the country, it's the Bob Rivers School of Broadcasting. So I'm eternally grateful for everything Bob's done. The Bob Rivers Show was like a family, and we had a lot of people join that family over the years. And as we transitioned from KISW to KZOK, one of the people we met was another wonderful young lady. She was full of energy, charisma, talent, and she wound up being a member of our show. And the person I'm referring to is here tonight. She's all grown up too, with a family of her own, 2 wonderful daughters. And would you please welcome, you've seen her on TV, you've heard her on multiple media channels. Please welcome Kaci.
Thank you, Joe. Come on, give it up for Joe. I'm actually really nervous, so bear with me. Sometimes I have to do a little chick, get it out of the way. Some of you might know some of this, but I met Bob, Spike, and Joe about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, when they first came over to KZOK. I was working, I was working across the hallway at a top 40 station that at the time was KISS 106.1, now it's KISS FM. And yes, woo. And I was doing traffics on the 1s, 3s, 5s, and 9s and taking caller 25, which was great, but very different from what Bob and the guys were doing. So when I first went over and started learning how to work with them, they had me doing the news. And they said to me, feel free to jump in whenever. And I was like, you sure about that? And they're like, yep, feel free to jump in whenever. One of the first times I jumped in, and it sticks out in my brain to this very day, actually involves Joe. And they were talking to Joe about something he had eaten that he was very excited about. And he was going on and on about food, and food this and food that. And Bob and Spike kind of jumped in, and they were poking at him a little bit. And they were like, Joe, that shouldn't have warmed your heart. And I jumped in without thinking and said, it should have stopped it. And it was the first time I ever got like a real laugh from dudes in radio. And I just remembered it so well because it was that moment that I immediately felt like their younger sister, and I felt like I had gained a bunch of big brothers, and it's been that way ever since. I want to say a couple things about Bob specifically. Bob was a fantastic storyteller. He cared deeply about people and about community. And he really had a gift for finding creative ways to share other people's stories and amplify them. He had a deep sense of curiosity and commitment to learning every single thing that he could about the things that delighted him most. That's what made him a gifted interviewer. And it made him someone who continued finding adventure and new hobbies throughout his entire life. Some examples of these in memories I have of Bob. As a storyteller, he knew how to turn the most mundane of things into the most amazing story, and it took me far too long to remember that, because we would have these morning meetings and I would say something off the cuff, and then I would find myself explaining it in front of the entire audience an hour later. Like the note that was left on my door saying, "Fix your squeaky bed." It's probably not good to bring it up now either, but I brought it up. He's like, "That's great." And he brought it up on the show, and it turned out my parents were driving, taking a long road trip that day and listened to the whole show, and I got a very stern text from my mother. And we have not spoken about it since. As a gifted interviewer, Bob has taught me absolutely more than anyone ever has about how to ask thoughtful questions, but most importantly, how to listen. Bob was not afraid of dead air. He would let something sit in the pocket for just long enough for you to feel uncomfortable, but it would create space for the interviewee to say something, to add something, or space for Joe to say, "Well," and I would hear that and I think, well, all right. Also, never scared to try something new or become an expert at something he had no business being an expert in, and then he would prove us all wrong. I still remember him going on the air and talking about how he was going to form a classic rock cover band. I specifically remember instant messaging Arik and saying, "What does this guy think he's doing? There's no way we're going to do this." Not only was I wrong, but 2 months later, I found myself hightailing it to the karaoke bar to drink tequila and prove to him that I should be given a shot to sing a song with them. So I was very wrong. I was also wrong when we needed a keyboardist, and he was like, "I'll just do it." And I was like, "No, you won't." And he ended up being fantastic. Bob was always looking for ways to bring laughter and music to people, to share their stories, to make people feel like the best versions of themselves, and to help them find ways to share that version with other people in a way that made them feel seen. And I have learned more from him than I have anyone else. He was a mentor, he was a big brother, he was a friend, and I see him living on in all of us gathering here tonight. This is exactly what he would have wanted, and I'm just so appreciative of him and of all of you. Thank you so much. Da 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 da. Hey! So we've got some people coming up, and by people I mean heart by heart, so let's give them a round of applause. That's not the official welcome. They're walking on. Boy, this is every audience's worst nightmare, but it's a dream for me, which is to have an open mic and a bunch of people who can't go anywhere. How many people here have seen Heart by Heart before? Right. They are fantastic. And how many people have seen Spike and the Impalers before? I have such fond memories of Spike and the Impalers, not the least of which was a guy coming up to me after the show and saying, "Please don't ever do air guitar again." I will. I will. You tell my children that when they get old enough to think I'm embarrassing. They already think I'm embarrassing. That's all right. me to do a fall? I have a really good party trick I could do. No, I'm not singing. Not tonight. Because I can't. Because I said I can't. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. You're good? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Heart by Heart.
So long ago, when I was not so strong, you know, a baby man came to me. Never seen eyes so blue. You know, I could not run away and sing. We'd seen each other in a dream. Seemed like he knew me. He looked right through me. Yeah. Come on home, girl, he said with a smile. You don't have to love me. Get high a while, but try to understand, try to understand, try to understand. I'm a magic man. Winter nights we sang in tune, played inside the mountain. Everything can never let the spell last forever. Oh, summer lover past her fall, try to realize it all. Mama says she's worried, going up in a hurry. Yeah. Come on home, girl, mama crying on the phone. Too soon to lose my baby, and my girl should be at home. But try to understand, try to understand, try to understand. He's a magic man. He's a magic man. Come on home, girl, he said with a smile. I cast my spell of love on you, old woman from a child. But try to understand, try to understand. electric band. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Summer, and I got the privilege to have Bob Rivers in my band, Heart by Heart. It first started when he would let Steve and I play with the Impalers, and then Steve and I were forming Heart by Heart. And Bob was like, hey, well, can I sit in with you guys? You know, because we always played with Spike, and we're like, yeah, what do you want to play? And anyway, I'm skipping, I'm going to tell the story, but this isn't the next song we're going to do. But anyway, Bob wanted to learn Alone. So we're like, yeah, let's just do that. And he had the most fun, and I remember he said one thing that he took from his life, like one of the greatest things, is that he got to play with Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. And he just thought, I mean, not everybody gets to experience that, and it was just the highlight of his life, one of the highlights, let's say. And so I always remember that. So, you know, thanks to you guys. You were an influence in Bob's life, as he was for you, for sure. So, anyway, we're gonna play Alone in memory of Bob, but that'll be after this next song.
Didn't take no chances.
Very quickly, I better introduce to you the two Rock and Roll Hall of Famers I was referring to. Steve Fossen on bass. And Michael DeRozier on drums. And Bob joined Heart by Heart just a month after they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he was with us for 2.5 years. So, here we go. The first song that Bob ever played with us.
I gotta say something about this. We're gonna show some photos of Bob on stage with the band, and I'm gonna channel Bob when I play this. He, as you all know, he started playing keyboards, later in life, and he was a little nervous about being on stage with those guys, especially this song because it starts out with just the piano. And I can relate to how difficult this is because it's just you, and if you mess up, well, everybody hears it. So he would get his fingers on the right notes, and then sometimes he would just hit the chord real quick, just thinking nobody could hear it but him, I think, but just to make sure that he had the right notes, and then and then he'd start. So with that in mind, this is for Bob. We good? Ready? Ready? Okay. See?
I hear the ticking of the clock. I'm lagging here, the room's pitch dark. I wonder where you are tonight. No answer on the telephone. And the night goes by so very slow. Oh, I hope that it won't end though. Alone. Till now, I always got by on my own. I never really cared until I met you. And now it chills me to the bone. How do I get you alone? How do I get you alone? You don't know how long I have wanted to touch your lips and hold you tight. Oh, you don't know how long I have waited, and I was gonna tell you tonight. But the secret is still my own, and my love for you is still unknown. Alone. Till now, I always got
Lizzie Damon on keyboard, Chad Quist on guitar.
This ain't the end, I saw you again. Today, I had to turn my heart away. Smile in the sun, kisses for everyone, and tales that never fade. You write song in the wind. I bet you wanna ambush me. You had me down, 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 down on my knees. Now wouldn't you, Barracuda? Back over time, we were all trying for free. You met the poor piece in me. No right, no wrong, selling a song. A name. Whisper game. And if the real things don't do the trick, you better make up something quick. You're gonna burn, 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 burn to the ground. Ooh, Barracuda. Oh, yeah. Sell me, the porpoise downtown. Say my whole but you got the blues too. All that night and all the next, swim without looking back. Wait for the western moon. Silly, silly fool.
Thank you so much. We're Heart by Heart.
Give me some. There we go. Heart by Heart, everybody. You guys, I got to tell you, thanks for stealing my keyboard player. You guys are the best. No, really, you guys fulfilled a lifelong dream for Bob. Because all of us, we always want to be a touring musician in a rock band. And we gave him a taste, but you fulfilled his dream. So thank you. Want to bring up another couple members of the family, Foz? My pleasure, Steve. Let's bring Pedro and Luciana to the stage, please. Pedro Artez and Luciana's lovely wife, who, it's the theme of the night. Bob saw something in these two, and they'll tell you the rest of the story.
We're not used, we apologize in advance. We're not used to doing this. We're always behind the scenes. We're producers, that's what we do. So I don't know.
We're terrified right now.
Yeah, we're terrified, but who cares? You guys love us, we love you, so Luciana, please. There you go.
It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today because we know that you shared with us the love that we have for Bob. By the way, the only reason Pedro and I can be here today is because of Bob. Everybody knows how much he fought to keep us in the show, but keep us in the country. And he succeeded because he stayed with us until we got the green cards. And then we became citizens.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks to Bob, we don't need to be checking for ice every 2 minutes. I'm lying, we still check for ice every 2 minutes.
Hopefully nobody in the audience. Let's go. So that's mostly what people know about Pedro and me and our relationship with Bob, but there was so much more behind the scenes going on and how much we learned from him. Without a doubt, Bob was a huge influence because he was so funny and creative. He was so smart and curious. And of course, how else he would have become this icon if he wasn't all those things. But he had a huge heart also. You heard Arik talking about all the kids that we have sponsored around the world through World Vision. So there's no better testament than that.
And you were talking about Arik, and Arik also said that Bob had superpowers, and it's true. Perhaps the biggest one, at least for me, was that he always make you believe in yourself. It was just natural in him. I mean, everybody here can tell you that. He just saw something and he would just tell you, and you would believe it. He made me believe I was funny. I'm not funny at all. And that's, I got the cojones to talk to Leno and beg to write jokes. He made me believe that. Only Bob can do that.
You probably don't know, but he also helped me get the job that I have today. The day that I was going to go for the interview, I talked to him. And I was as terrified as I am right now. And he was like, no, you can do it. And not only that, he told me, go for more money. And I did. And I got it. I got the job and I got more money.
By the way, this is not in the script. Doesn't she look hot today? Look at this.
It's the scarf.
Yeah. So Bob also helped me rediscover my love for drums. And this is a true story. There was a set of congas in the studio one day. And I started, Latino, I need to play congas. So I started playing the congas. And he immediately said, oh, do you want to play with Impalers? And I said, absolutely. Mind you, he made me wear a huge Mexican hat on stage. But that was Bob. What else did he help you with?
Well, besides helping me with something, I just remember the day that I had to ride the elevator with Kenny G, dressed as someone that controls elevators. One of the things he helped us with, and Lisa helped here too, was to realize that it's okay to bicker with your spouse all day long and still love each other, right, Lisa? Right?
And this is true. Right now, Bob helped me realize that I needed glasses because I don't understand anything here. No, for real, he helped us accomplish my biggest dream of doing radio in English. And he always told me, this is a true story, that my accent was an asset, or it sounded like a pain in the ass. I don't know, one of those two things he said to me. I didn't understand him much. But for real, since I was a kid, I used to listen to the radio in Argentina, I used to listen to the Voice of America, and I always wanted to do radio in the United States. And Bob made me accomplish that dream, and for that, I will always be thankful with him. I will never forget what he did to Luciana and me, and for getting to know all of you. To us, that's the biggest thing we ever accomplished in our lives.
When Bob passed away last year, it was, well, I heard it, well, yes, it was incredibly sad, but it was really moving to see the outpour of love and support online. People telling how Bob had changed their lives. And it made us think, how can we be more like him? There's a lesson right here. People loved him so much, and how can you be like him? How can we, what would Bob do? That's the question. Ask yourselves, when you have to make a decision, what would Bob do?
You know, I ask the question all the time. When I want to scream at Luciana, I go like, Bob, what would you do? I know. It's not easy, but it starts with getting outside of the comfort zone. He did it for us.
We're doing it.
We're doing it right now. This is the first time we're giving speech in front of an audience, so we're freaking out. But it starts with trying to be a good neighbor, with being nice to people, with caring. We want to thank God for putting Bob in our lives so that we will be able to learn so much and be who we are and get to know all of you.
The most difficult part of being here right now is that we can't see Bob, but I know he's right here with us in everyone's hearts. Thank you, everybody.
We love you guys. Thank you.
Why don't you ever put your son on the radio? And he's only like, what is he, 19 months old now. He's just starting to learn the first few words, so we have him on the phone, and I don't know if we'll get him to talk, but let's try. Hang on.
Keith, come here.
Hello?
Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Here, Keith. Right here.
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad.
How are you? How are you?
Good.
Good?
What? Hi.
What kind of music do you like? That's my boy. Bye-bye, Keith. Bye-bye, Keith. You have a nice morning.
Today is October 24th, Thursday, 1984.
Well, naturally, my son is on the phone and wished me happy Father's Day. Isn't it nice of him? He's what, 2.5 years old? Let's talk to him.
Happy Father's Day, Dada.
Oh. How are you, Keith?
Say dick back.
You want to say dick bag? Don't say that word, man. Zip taught you that. I don't like that. I do not. Listen, thank you for the Father's Day wish. Tell Mommy to give you some cookies, okay?
Have the cookies.
Keith has something he wants to say for Dad. Okay. Say W. Good boy.
Keith?
Hi.
Hi, Keith. How are you this morning?
I did pee-pee.
You did pee-pee?
Yeah.
All by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
In the toilet.
In the toilet?
Yeah.
Oh,
On the toilet.
you did?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. And do you know, when you're 15 years old and you hear us play back this tape of how we publicly embarrassed you on the radio, you're going to hate dear old Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are you going to do next?
My son Keith is on the phone. Hi, Keith. How are you?
Hey, what's up?
Good. You know what's cool?
What's cool?
That we get along now.
We've gotten along for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, not when you were 17.
Oh yeah, I hated you.
Lisa and I have an announcement to make. Yesterday, Lisa and I got a call that Keith and Leanne were on their way into the hospital, and that on the very last day of our program, we have a brand new listener.
Wow. Holy.
All right.
Her name is Hazel Rivers, and Hazel is less than 1 day old. our youngest listener. Perhaps with this new young demo, we could relaunch the show.
Listen at 10 o'clock this morning. It's all lullabies all the time.
Thank you all. What a fantastic 25 years. When we come back.
Hey everyone, I'm Keith Rivers. I'm not the funny one, I'm the cool one. You know, when thinking about my dad, I only have 3 choices in the way that I speak about him. I can either compare, complain, or celebrate. And I'll let you decide which of the 3 I'm gonna do. If I had the choice of selecting my parents out of all of the usual suspects, I don't think I would have handpicked Bob Rivers for a dad. I'll tell you why. In high school, kids that I didn't know would come up and ask if they could score concert tickets and backstage passes. Public humiliation, AKA forced humility, on the radio, both Andrew and I were defamated weekly, as you probably heard. When I was 16 years old, I failed my driving test, and I called my dad crying in the parking lot. Little did I know that when I arrived to school that morning, everyone had heard me on the air. My parents did pay for therapy, however. I never had a first beer. My dad was sober. He never drank. One person. And for some reason, I can't explain that growing pot with your dad when it's legal and he's 65 years old kind of just loses its rebellion. He threw baseball like a girl. He dressed like Steve Jobs with that piano scarf he always wore. And he barely showed up for my soccer games. It's true. Off air, he was a dork. He loved Star Wars and Star Trek. He was afraid of roller coasters. He never ate anything from the ocean. Instead of shooting guns or riding motorcycles together, we went to yacht training courses where we learned to tie knots and wash boats. We played lots of chess at the public library, and we had slug races out in the parking lot with the beer he didn't drink. I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers as a kid. Look at me now. Seriously, how did my mom go from dating Steven Tyler to marrying Bob Rivers? But as I grew up, I realized one thing. Being cool isn't cool. Being who you are is cooler. My dad was authentic, but only because he was such a bad liar. He had no other choice. His on-air personality really was his off-air personality. At 68, my dad's life on this planet was not measured by its duration. It was measured by its donation. And it wasn't just what he gave. It's what all of you, the listeners, gave back. You gave him purpose. You gave him belonging. You gave him extended family. And you gave him an opportunity to feel what it feels like to be a little cool. All the things he was not are all the things you guys are. That's what makes this night not about comparison. It's not about complaint, but it's a reason to celebrate him and his life. I love you, Dad.
All right, everybody. Keith Rivers, everybody. you go. I don't know where I'm doing. All the videos that you've seen, all the collection of photos and videos and memories, Keith did all that work. He's a brilliant artist, like his dad. And Bob's other son, Andrew, is younger. We'll be up in a little bit to show you how far the nut doesn't fall from the family tree. Yeah. I don't know how anybody could put it better than Keith put it about who Bob is and what mattered to him and what made him who he is today. We, over the course of the years working with Bob, we got to enjoy so many moments. Bob loved music, as you can tell from the theme of tonight's show. And we had so many different artists that came through and played in our studio. Bob told our manager, no, I'm gonna put Lucas Nelson live in the studio. We're gonna put drums and bass and guitar in the studio. And they were pulling their hair up, but Bob made it work. We had Booker T come in and play Green Onion in the studio.
Booker T, Al Di Meola, you name it. I mean,
we had 'em.
Some jazz, rock, everything, and local music, and young up-and-comers.
Which brings us to our next performer. I'm not sure how old Caspian Coberly was when he jumped onto our radar.
It was long before puberty, I know that. I think, Caspian, you were 9 or 10 or something like that, probably.
And Bob got wind of this phenomenal guitar player who couldn't, he was just 9 years old. And Bob invited him onto our show, and he played for the city. And he just continued to work and grow as an artist. And we had him open for the Impalers when you were, 13, I want to say, or something, and following this cowboy. It's the last time we had him open for us, by the way. But we wanted to make sure that Caspian, who Bob just adored this young man, saw something in him that she wanted to share with the city, with his audience. And as mentioned Keith in his videos and the talent he's bringing to tonight, we've put together another little video tribute of Bob, and we've asked Caspian to accompany that for us. So ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please.
Caspian Coberly. Caspian Coberly. I think the word prodigy comes to mind when I hear him play. By the way, you can see Caspian around town. One band in particular you should catch is called Is This Real? You might have heard of Matt Cameron, two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam. Matt got too busy to be in Pearl Jam, but he's in Caspian's band. Caspian's the lead guitarist of Is This Real with Matt Cameron. Check him out at a theater near you. Okay, we've got a lot of friends of the show here, former show members. Our last stop as the Bob Rivers Show was at KJR 95.7, and after Bob retired, we all got fired, and we went home, except for one. She's still there. She's still at 95.7. 95.7 The Jet. She is the #1 rated morning host in the city, and she's doing it right from where we left her 10 plus years ago with her friend and partner Bender. Would you please welcome co-host of the Jodi and Bender Show and former Bob Rivers news person, Jodi Brothers.
Oh, look at that. They saved the best for last. What's that? I'm not last? Fantastic. Hi, everyone. How about this night? Oh, my God. It has been so amazing to watch all of my friends, all these great artists perform. I have to be perfectly honest with you. I have not prepared anything because I decided that this is what Bob would want. He would want me to walk up cold and just speak from the heart. And before I left my house, I almost put on a gold sequins jacket, and then I thought, is this what Bob wants too? And then I got carried away, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna go up, and I know this is a friendly room, and I know that you love all the people that you've already seen, and I'm so glad to be here as well. Congratulations to Keith for finally peeing in the toilet, which is amazing, I think we can all agree. How about that video? I mean, to have that life legacy, to have all of these moments captured, even back then, in the 1920s or 30s, whenever the hell that was. I don't know the date exactly. So like Joe was saying, I was part of the last iteration in Seattle of the Bob Rivers Show, and I, again, will be completely honest, I hadn't listened to them much before because I was always working my own morning show. So of course, we all knew of each other, but I didn't know the particulars of their show or how it worked. I got fired from the Mountain. You can thank my friend Marty Reamer for that. It was his fault. And if he was here right now, I'd say the same goddamn thing. I'm just kidding, I love him, best friend. My agent, Paul, who you may remember is the guy who was up on stage and yelled the word pussy moments ago. Remember Paul? I had a baby, and 3 weeks after I had the baby, it was Christmas Eve, 15 years ago, and Paul called me down to his office. And you can always count on a Jewish person to come to a meeting on Christmas because we don't care. And he said, I have something for you that's probably going to change your life if you want it. We were just musing about that on the side of the stage because it was to join the Bob Rivers Show when they went over to KJR. And again, having not really been ultra familiar with it other than it's this group of guys, they've been together for a long time, they need someone who's gonna join and it can be you, and I said yes, and I signed that day. Getting to know this crew, I mean, whatever you're thinking right now is exactly what it was like. What an epic group of talent. Picture this room, right? Those studios, we're not in those studios anymore, we're on the other side of the building. Those studios, they were huge, glorious studios, and Bob was the center of it all as the conductor, literally, figuratively. And then we sat around, and everybody had their eyes on him, and he would decide, you know, in what way we moved. And it's a dance. It's hard to explain what we do. I know it seems like such a fun, silly job, and sometimes it is, but you do have to share a lot. You have to give a lot of yourself. At the time that I joined the show, I had a 4-month-old baby, and I had been kind of boring for the last year or so. I didn't really have that much to offer. God, I wish we could be doing that show now so I could talk about all my perimenopause symptoms and all the cool shit I'm doing now that I'm divorced. Holy cow, you guys. But at the time, I was mostly listening, you know, and I was sitting right next to Spike, and that is the funniest man you'll ever meet in your whole life. You know, and then you've got Joe around the corner with his box of crackers. And when I tell you that what he does, you guys, no shit, it is like a secret superpower, the way that he can just turn anything into a 20-minute bit. Nobody else can do that like him. Bob in the middle, and he would look at you when it was your turn to share something, you know, and those days were really something. We all were in this boiler room together. We all became very close. When I signed that contract with my agent Paul, again, the guy who yelled pussy 10 minutes ago. Remember him? Remember Paul? Paul's the best. I did not realize that more would be demanded of me than just the mornings. I did not realize that I was also going to be digging ditches in New Delhi, and I did not realize I was going to be forced to learn an instrument, which seemed exhausting, which is why I did not learn an instrument. Bob was like, learn an instrument. I'm like, no, I don't want to learn anything. I'm not like you. He was unstoppable and limitless in his coveting for more information. Like Kaci said, he was the most curious person you'd ever want to meet, and that is what made him such a good interviewer. Because if you don't give a shit about this guy who wrote this book that you didn't read, guess what? That interview is gonna tank. This guy was timeless. He used every minute of a 24-hour period to do things. You'd say, what'd you do yesterday, Bob? Oh, I learned 4 new songs, and we recorded 3 Twisted Tunes, and then I had a meeting with this guy, and then I read a book, and then I ran up Rattlesnake. And I was like, damn, you did all that? He's like, yeah, what'd you do? I'm like, I don't know, it sounds exhausting. I watched 4 shows on Bravo. I got all the housewives in, all of them. I had a baby. I'm very grateful, as Joe said, for, you know, when Bob decided I've had enough, I wanted to do things, different things, even more things, and he retired, and they wanted me to stick around and host the next iteration of what the station was gonna be. Bob and I went to a lunch maybe 3 weeks after that when the information came out, and he said, God, I'm so proud of you. I'm really proud of you. And I was like, thank you, that means so much. I've learned so much from you. And he goes, you know, I set you up for success there. And I was like, I know. And he goes, now, I wouldn't say that, but if you said that to me, I would accept it. No shit. And I was like, yes, you definitely did. Without this show, I would not have been poised to be on the next show. And he was like, all right, good, just as long as you know where your bread is buttered. And I fucking love the guy so much, you guys. Unlike anybody I've ever met, and I've worked with a lot of people now, they call me the Black Widow. Everybody I work with after a while gets fired. But not me, look out. He was such an interesting person. He dug connections. He really wanted to connect with people. And that's the main thing that I learned from him. That it doesn't matter if you don't know, just be honest. Just be relatable, be yourself. I don't remember who said that, it was Keith. That being yourself is cool. And saying what's your truth is cool. And look at this legacy he left. This is epic. We're in this tiny room. Mine currently doesn't even have fucking windows, y'all. And you don't know what kind of impact you're making. And you don't hear laughter. And you don't know. You know, sometimes you stand in front of a QFC opening for 2 hours and you hope people show up and you still don't know. And ratings are great, but they go up and down and it's a lie, really. You don't know what kind of impact you're gonna make until you find yourself being ushered into the Radio Hall of Fame. And you know how hard that is, that acknowledgement, how hard you've worked your whole life, and instead of going out there and getting all that glory, he made sure that everybody was with him. What a guy. He understood. He's just the conductor, right? In a room full of people playing their own instruments. And I'm so grateful for the time I had with this show. I'm so grateful to have made lifelong friends, and we really are like a family. We may not see each other for a while, but when we come back together, it is really something. Who's clapping? Spike, goddammit. Can you imagine? I'm so glad to see you all here. I'm so glad to be reminded of how much these people love Bob and how much we all love Bob, and how even when he got sick and he was dealing with the prognosis and it was bad, and I visited him and Lisa when they were in the Central District at this house, and I will never forget this visit, and he looked awful, y'all. It was really scary. And he said, "This is a terrible prognosis, but we'll see what happens." And you know what happened? He had more years, and he did the maple syrup. How do you make maple syrup? You don't say you make it, right? What do you, coax it? How do you fucking make maple syrup? Anybody know? Did it? He did it? He brewed it? I don't fucking know. Anyway, seems exhausting. He made it? He tapped the fucking trees? I don't know. They did the maple syrup, and he ran up more mountains, and he did the podcasts, and he created more and more and more. It was almost like his lust for life was unbounded. So we'll celebrate today, and we'll celebrate always, and it's lovely to see everybody here. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Steve Stockman, and I am not a Seattle radio personality, but I probably knew and loved Bob Rivers longer than anybody else in this room. Met him in 1981, and everything you've heard about Bob is absolutely true. An amazing guy, introduced me to my wife. My kids would not exist without Bob. But there was another side of Bob, and that is that he was an incredible space cadet. And so when I met Bob in 1981, I met him like this. We were working at WAF Radio, and we were doing an all-request weekend. And you may not know this as a listener of a radio station, but an all-request weekend for a rock station in those days meant that you would play exactly the same playlist you would play every day, and people would call on the phone and they'd request songs, and you'd record that. And if they requested a song that you liked, you would play back their recording of them requesting the songs right before you played the same song you were going to play anyway. Right? Everybody with me on that? So also there's this thing called the FCC, and they don't like it when you swear on the radio. So Bob Rivers is the part-time morning guy, or part-time afternoon guy on a Saturday, and I'm the acting program director running the station because the real program director is out of town. And I'm driving along in Worcester, Massachusetts, and Bob has recorded a request for the Doors, totally fine, and he's getting ready to play it back. And what I hear is, now remember, he's recorded this, and he's playing it back. What I hear is, 107 WAAF, it's Bob Rivers, what would you like to hear on this all-request weekend? And the guys in the background go, play some fucking Doors! So I just wanted you all to know that not only would my children not be here today if I had actually fired Bob on the spot, but you would not be here today either. You're welcome. So Bob and I worked together creatively. I worked with him on radio projects. He worked with me on film projects. And we hiked together, and we were really great friends, and I'm going to miss him a lot. But one of the things I'm going to miss is being creative with Bob. And I would like to share one piece of our creative work together, Golden Oldie from 1994. And I'm playing this one because Christmas apparently starts in October now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Rivers' Twisted Tunes, my creative, visually on I Am Santa Claus.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Daddy, are you Santa Claus?
No, son. Santa Claus will be here a little bit later. Now get some sleep.
Merry Christmas, Daddy.
Merry Christmas, Daddy.
Merry Christmas.
Claus. Ho, 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 ho. Flying through the snow, can you hear him? Ho, ho, ho. He's so full of cheer, only has to work one day a year. Children in their beds, visions of silver bombs fill their heads. So many kids out there, Santa must be a billionaire. Red suit, boots are black, big sack of toys hanging on his back. How much does he weigh? How do the reindeer pull his sleigh? Nobody sees him as he travels the world. Leaving his presents for the good boys and girls. Ho, 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 ho. Sees every move you make, better be good for goodness sake. Leave him cookies and beer, he'll be back to your house first next year.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about Bob's son, Keith, and he does have another kid. I don't know if anybody, though I don't have an update about if he's using the toilet or anything. I don't know about that. But I will tell you, it was a heartwarming moment I had with Bob, because when Bob knew what was about to happen in his life and the way it was going to go, he asked me, he said, hey, would you please look after Andrew? And I deeply regret saying yes. Please put your hands together for Andrew Rivers!
Thanks, BJ, for dressing up. All right. I grew up in a kind, loving family, so my dad would take me to Mariners games as a kid just to learn disappointment. He was like, life's hard, you're gonna need this. True story, I actually got hit in the head with a foul ball at a Mariners game when I was a kid. I know, explains a lot. But it's crazy to think about, right? All this time I thought, oh, maybe it was the ball that did the damage. Turns out it was the Tylenol. So that's pretty fun. We used to sit behind home plate at the Kingdom, and every time I'd bring a baseball glove. And every time my dad would look at me and go, "Why do you have a baseball glove?" I'll be like, "In case a foul ball comes, I can catch it." And he was like, "There's a net." "You're an idiot, but you're my idiot, so I got you some ice cream." One day, just like every other day, we were sitting there, pop fly comes up, lands in the third deck behind me. I sit down all disappointed. Suddenly the ball just drops and bounces off my head. Everyone around us is freaking out. The Mariner staff ran up, like, "Is he okay?" My dad had to be like, "He was like that before, don't worry about it." I was so lucky to have him as a dad, and I was so lucky to get to share him with so many people. Almost every show I do, people want to come up and talk to me and go, "Dude, I grew up listening to your dad." I'm like, "That's crazy, because I grew up not listening to my dad." But it's not true. Obviously, he was my hero. In middle school, I used to ask the school bus driver to change the radio station to the Bob Rivers Show. Wonder why I wasn't more popular. All the kids in my class wanted to listen to the newest hip-hop songs. I was like, "Have you heard Police Stop My Car? It's a banger." To this day, I only know the wrong words to Christmas music. That's why I'm not allowed at Target anymore. Every holiday season, I'm just walking around and holiday music comes on. I just automatically start going, "Walking around in women's underwear." Yeah, he's gone now, but the daddy issues will be with me forever. Everyone in my family grew up to be in entertainment, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? My uncles are musicians, my brother's a director, my cousin's an actor, my dad was on the radio, I became a comedian, so it is refreshing to know a regular job just wasn't possible with this DNA. Like, I'm not a failure, it's just bad genetics. Ah. I'm just kidding. He's down there. Come on. Sometimes I get jealous of my family members' careers. My uncle's a musician. When he gets sad, he can just write a sad song. When I get sad, I don't get to write a sad joke. I mean, I do all the time, but it's an accident. Crowds fucking hate it. I go, "I'm grieving." They're like, "Come back when that shit's funny." Anyway, I just want to bring it up because I got like 10 more minutes of dead dad jokes, and I need you guys to laugh. It's only been 6 months. I'm still not over it. And honestly, this job doesn't come with health insurance, so you're my therapy tonight. Wonder why comedians die so young. Shit, sad joke. I fucked it up. I know. My dad was super young when he passed, only 68. That's not even old enough to run for president anymore, you know? He had his whole life ahead of him. I noticed whenever I would tell people my dad had cancer, if it was a young person, they always go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And if it was an old person, they always go, "What were his symptoms?" Because young people are like, "I'm gonna live forever." And old people are like, "I'm gonna die tomorrow." And people in their 40s are like, "Do you think this beam will hold?" Not for everybody. It's tough having a sick parent, because I had to take care of him sometimes, you know? It was a real role reversal for when I was a kid, because he used to have to sit me down and be like, "Don't get in the van, the guy doesn't have candy." And then every time I talk to him, I'd be like, "Don't give out your social security number over the phone. You didn't win a contest." My dad was on the radio for 25 years in Seattle, and when he retired, he just wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of North Bend, Washington, so they moved to the middle of the woods in Vermont, and he picked up weird hobbies like beekeeping and making his own maple syrup. Kind of weird. I want to watch the trees bleed. But then he got sick and he realized I should be closer to hospitals and electricity, so they moved to Vegas, which I never thought of Vegas as a hospital town. I mean, for sure, if I had a rash, I'd be like, "There's a specialist I need to go see." I guess it's hard to find a good cancer doctor. I mean, obviously, you know, you want the guy who's too available. Hey, we had a cancellation tomorrow. Come on in. I'm gonna keep looking, actually. But of all the things in Vegas, my dad told me he was most excited about chain restaurants, because they didn't have any fast food within 2 hours of their house in Vermont. So he would call me up once a week, like, have you heard of this place, Applebee's? It's incredible. I was like, yeah, welcome to the 90s, Dad. He called me one time excited. He picked out a restaurant he was saving for a special occasion. It was called Twin Peaks. If you're not familiar, I think the official term is restaurant. It's like Hooters, but with better colors. I don't know who thought orange was sexy. I was trying to figure out, why did he have this restaurant picked out? Here's what happened. We grew up in North Bend, Washington. There was a TV show called Twin Peaks that filmed in North Bend, and he thought they were related. I was trying to explain to him, like, why do you think there'd be a North Bend, Washington-themed restaurant in Las Vegas, Nevada? He was like, well, the Eiffel Tower's here. That's not from Vegas. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let him have a fun anniversary. He deserves it. What's the worst that happens? He accidentally spices up his marriage. Good for him. But Vegas was amazing. For the last couple years, we had some of the best times of our life. You know, there was lots of father-son bonding opportunities in Vegas, comedy shows, concerts, strip clubs. We did it all. One of my favorite memories, though, was going to the Sphere to see the Grateful Dead. And not normally my cup of tea musically, but my dad shared his edibles, so that made the music taste way better. My dad was sober for 40 years before he got sick, so he still felt a little sheepish about a weed gummy once a week. We found a bag of edibles in his car one time. He got super defensive. He's like, shut up, it's for my nausea. It's prescription. I was like, who's your doctor? Dr. Dre? It's fine. Dad, I'm not judging you. I'm trying to bond with you, okay? We finally have hobbies in common. Let's talk about it, right? Do you want to trade brands? Do you want to try anything else? Hey, Dad, I got this bag of mushrooms, you know? You're about to meet God. Don't you want to call him first, you know? Just feel out the vibe, reserve a room. I don't know how it works. But I'm lucky. I've got a great support system. I've got an amazing therapist, ChatGPT. And yeah, she basically agrees with me that everything is my dad's fault, so I'm gonna be good. Everyone grieves differently, though. I've been doing drugs and going to concerts, just like Dad would have wanted. My brother does this crazy thing. I don't know if you've heard of this. He goes to church. So similar, except I actually talk to God. I got nothing against religion and religious people. I think it's a great way to expand your community and make friends with some of the most annoying people in your neighborhood. You know? But my brother is so kind and compassionate and full of love. When my dad was sick, my brother would always ask permission to read him prayers. And even though we were more spiritual than religious, my dad would say yes, because he knew that's part of what Keith needed to feel better. One time, Keith was reading this prayer. It was like 5 minutes long. And when he finished, my dad opened his eyes and went, well, that was a marathon. And we got to laugh about it, which was fun. When it came time to plan the actual funeral, my brother was worried we weren't going to let him read some religious stuff. And we told him, you can do whatever you want. Dad's dead. He's not going to care anymore. He can't hurt you, technically. So at the actual funeral, my brother walked up to the casket. He pulled out his phone, and he said, one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. He goes, no one wants to hear this shit. And then he scrolled past everything he had written down. My mom and I looked at each other like, holy shit, there is a God. He saved us. My dad and I were always very close, but our relationship evolved in the last couple months of his life. He actually became my sugar daddy. he started paying my electric bill for the last couple months of his life, which is another reason I didn't want him to die so soon, you know? I was like, let's keep this gravy train rolling. I don't know if you know this, Washington is one of the only states where you're allowed to have a death with dignity, which means if you're a terminally ill person and the pain becomes too much, you can sort of go out on your own terms. But you have to be a resident of Washington to do it. And my parents lived in Nevada, which is where old people go to hide their money. One way to establish residency is to have your name on a bunch of bills. Yeah, my dad was basically keeping my lights on in case he wanted to turn his off. Which is a pretty awkward conversation to have with your dad. I was like, are you sure you don't want to pay my rent also? Like, you never know how close they're gonna check these things. He didn't end up needing the hospice service. My mom got there first with a pillow. That's my mom's favorite joke, by the way, so fuck you guys for not laughing. Well, it turns out it's just really hard to schedule your own death, because, you know, he was out trying to live his life to the fullest until the last minute, but when you're that sick, you have a compromised immune system, so anything can take you out, right? Just like a cold, or a flu, or a hoax even. And so, by the time we realized he was about to die, it was too late. We called this hospice nurse, and she goes, great, I'm gonna interview him over the next 2 weeks to see if he's eligible to die. My dad literally goes, good luck keeping me alive for 2 weeks. It's a crazy process because you have to convince this nurse that you're close enough to death that you might as well do it, but that you're of sound enough mind that you're making the decision on purpose and you're not just a little sad that day. So they were literally at his deathbed interviewing him going, have you ever thought about hurting yourself or made a plan to hurt yourself and didn't follow through? My dad goes, not until I called you. Like, holy shit, he is dying and killing at the same time. I'm so proud. But looking back, those are some of my favorite moments, you know? He wasn't, even though it wasn't his timing, it was still his terms. He wasn't hooked up to tubes. He was cracking jokes, trying to make the nurse laugh until the last day. Sometimes looking back, I wonder if he was the only one who didn't know he was gonna die. Like, even 2 days before, he kept trying to plan stuff for months away. He was like, Andrew, the Eagles are coming back to the Sphere in April. We should go. I was like, Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're about to see the Beatles. At least the good ones, you know, so. All right, thank you guys very much. My name is Andrew Rivers.
You guys have been fantastic. We want to thank a couple people very quickly. This whole thing couldn't happen without two people, Steve Stockman and Paul Anderson. Please let them know.
And this man, Mike McMorrow. Mike McMorrow here is our producer, stage director. Mike was the first show producer when we moved to Seattle in 1989. Mike worked at KISW and started the Bob Rivers Show. Mike drove Bob to North Bend, said, you're going to like this neighborhood, and Bob made it home and raised his family there.
We'd also like to give a big, big round of applause because every bit of money that you spent here tonight, all of it is going to go to the charities that Bob loves so much. All of it. Snoqualmie Casino, we are so grateful because they donated everything to make this happen. And this is the first performance in their brand new performance room. You're the first people to christen it.
You guys did it right. Well done.
So we do have one more song for you. We're bringing everybody up, and this is a room full of so many special people, so many VIPs, so many just wonderful souls. But the one I want everybody to make sure that you say a big thank you to, because without her, none of us would have had a gig, period, including Bob. With her sons here, with Keith and Andrew, please welcome Lisa Rivers. Lisa Rivers.
You guys know the words, so feel free to jump on any point. Sing along with us. so much for being a part of tonight. We appreciate you, and appreciate you being a part of the last 36 years of our lives with you. Thanks so much. Thanks to Heart by Heart, Caspian Coberly, Impalers, everybody who joined us tonight, you guys especially. Don't forget, like BJ mentioned, BJ Shea, everybody, by the way, yeah. There's a bunch of flyers and the QR code to help Snoqualmie Valley Food Bank. It's worth the trouble, and we need your help more than ever. Thank you, guys. We'll see you. Don't go anywhere. We're coming out and play. Let's go.